Global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned. Hello guys, welcome to Global Happenings. Today we have a trending news here for you, and the headline of the news reads: 3 crew members of the Chinese medical team escaped and boycotted quarantine. Nigerians react. All right, before we go into details of the news and further analysis, we'd like to encourage you to please subscribe to our channel by clicking on the bell, the subscribe button, and also the bell icon so that you can get notification anytime we publish our videos. Don't also forget to hit on the like button and also share this video. All right, let's jump straight to the topic of the day, and it has to do with the crew members who were part of that AP's Boeing 777-200ER jumbo jet that went to China. It landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. But the story behind the arrival of the Chinese, which was yet to be revealed but just been revealed now, is that 3 crew members refused to be quarantined, but before then there were a lot of arguments before they accepted. Reason being that, before now they had already been tested to be negative before they left for China. But on their way back, according to the stringent protocols that have already been left on ground for the Chinese medical team that was coming in, that they must be quarantined, the crew members were also included. And there were a lot of arguments, when they refused to accept the fact that they must join the Chinese guys to be quarantined. So after they accepted, they went with them to, where they're supposed to stay. Actually, it was a 2-bedroom flat for, it was a room for 2 persons to occupy. And there were a lot of other arguments that they said they refused to stay there. After a while, they accepted to stay there, but only to be noticed that about 3 of them are not there. Now, the question is, what is the consequences? Because Nigerians have taken to the social media to react, about this. The Ministry of Health sources had confirmed that the pilot and cabin crew members claimed their management did not inform them of the 14-day compulsory quarantine. That was the reason why they reacted, which therefore means that if they had informed them, they wouldn't have loved to be a part of the crew that went to China to bring the Chinese medical team and other medical supplies that Nigeria was expecting. So the question is, what is the effect of these guys refusing to be quarantined and going back to their individual home? That's what we are going to be looking at in a jiffy. All right, I have my colleague here in the house. We're going to be talking about this, looking at this scenario that we have seen. Who is to be blamed here? Because according to the information we got was that the port health officials who were on duty did not notice, when these guys left. They were, for me, I believe that they were not on top of their job, because those guys, after they landed, they would have made sure that none of them escaped. Or maybe is it that the concentration was actually on the Chinese or what? That's what we do not really know. But looking at the story here, what do you think? What are the effects, aftermath of their escaping from the quarantine or refusal to be quarantined?
Nigeria back to back have been showing that the law is for selected few. I don't understand why the pilots will not understand what 14 days quarantine mean. I understand they said that their management did not tell them that that they'll be quarantined after 14 days, despite the fact that they have tested negative prior to the time they traveled down to China. But don't forget that China is a highly they call it red flag, danger zone, being that exactly. Coronavirus came out from Wuhan. So it's normal that Nigerians would say, even if you are tested negative, you need to be quarantined for us to be sure. Now let's assume, we're assuming now that we're agreeing with them that their management never told them that after traveling and coming back that they need to be quarantined for 14 days. Okay, you are now back home. They now told you, are you above the law?
Exactly.
Why would you flout the law? And up till now, the government have not deemed it fit to give them some sort of sanctions. There should be sanctions. Look, there should be stringent measures. That's why we are where we are today, where everyone can wake up because I'm Oga at the top, or I'm one of the top pilots in the aircraft and all that, so I should be exempted. No, there should be one for every escape or for every boycott of every quarantine anyone does. There should be stringent measures. In fact, let it be that even the 14 days quarantine will be one of the cheapest and the easiest to embrace compared to boycotting it. Okay, now they boycotted it. What now happened? And that's one. Now these guys also have they have their own share of the blame too. I'm talking about the guys who were supposed to guide them through to their lodge, their place of lodgement for that night. You're supposed to know how many crew members come in, and just notice that some are not complete. When you were driving them, didn't you notice? When you were you were booking space, booking for them, didn't you number the number of persons, as you know the number of persons that will be, lodging in that apartment?
Exactly.
So if for any reason you have finally lodged them, you'll have noticed that 1 or 2 rooms are vacant. So where are the occupants? Then you begin to check your manifest. How come we're not? Then at that point, you begin to do head-to-head counts. It's like we're forgotten somebody behind or someone is missing. That's the negligence we're talking about. Back to back, we have shown negligence in everything. Look, I'm not encouraging the Chinese, but look at how the Chinese dealt seriously with us, the Nigerians in China. They practically boxed every Nigerian up in one room as a no escape. Nobody could move. They practically boxed Nigerians up in one minute. What it means is that for everyone, as Nigerians are trying to move, they already know how many. So to speak, they quarantine Nigerians and they could tell which Nigeria was at a particular time. Database. Okay. I feel that both sides, they have their own problems, but I also feel that there should be some sort of sanctions for these guys that boycotted, even if they tested negative eventually. But it should be a deterrent to others who would dream
to do
of
such
boycotting next time.
All right. Now the story also says that before the crew departed the Lagos airport, one of the 17 crew members had escaped. It was one at first who first escaped and was on notice. One had escaped and left apparently for his house, unknown to the port health officials. Now, but it was now discovered on Thursday evening. They
After
arrived.
Days.
Exactly. They arrived on Wednesday. It was now discovered on Thursday. Evening when there was head count. The question is, why should you be carrying out a head count when these guys have already? Why didn't you carry out a head count when they arrived?
Yes.
Why didn't you make sure that you confine them? Because apart from negligence on their part, the issue of this Chinese was a well-known issue. They had, before they even went to get this Chinese, a lot of people were involved in, a lot of Nigerians, lawmakers were involved in this whole Chinese stuff. We could still remember the Nigerian Medical Association vehemently rejected the Chinese and their supplies, medical supplies, from coming in. Nigerians also reacted, owing to the fact that we have already heard that most of the Chinese supplies that have been sent to other countries of the world were, tested and they were positive to coronavirus. So some persons believe it was an act of wickedness. So why bringing in these guys? And Nigerian Medical Association also said they do not want it. And when it seems it was really needful for them to come in, the lawmakers had to meet with the Minister of Health, Dr. Osage, and ask him, tell us what you intend to do with these guys when they arrive, because we do not want them to have any form of interference in, administering drugs to our own patients and all of that. And Osage said that one of the stringent measures is that when they come in, they are going to be quarantined in an isolated facility. They're going to be kept there. So all of this happening clearly shows that global, nationally, eyes of everyone was on that. So which therefore means that on the arrival of these guys, they wouldn't have been any joke as per the number of persons who made up this number and the team. But unfortunately, what we heard was that it was until Thursday evening that it was noticed that when they carried out head count at the quarantine center, it was also at that time that officials discovered that first one person was missing. But when they went there and they noticed that one person had gone missing and they didn't ask. 2 people also escaped.
That's what I was telling you about.
Escaped from, because there was no punitive measure,
That's what I was saying.
So 2 people also disappeared.
I guess they waited to see there's going to be any punitive measure. There was none, so they decided to, join him.
But now the question is, what's your kind of advice looking at this situation? Because personally, I feel that all the members of their family that they have interacted with, they need to know their contact point. When they left, where did they go to and all of that. They need need to get those people also to quarantine them, though we've not tested them to be positive. But hey, as far as they have interacted with other people outside the facilities, automatically, I believe that such persons should also be, brought to the isolation center so that, because of fear of the spread of the coronavirus. What do you think about it?
You're very correct. Honestly, very correct. But that's for sinner claims. That's for a very organized country. Nigeria, sorry to say, I do not think we are that organized to the point of going to the pilot's home and getting to know their family and the friends of the family and all that and all that. Who's gonna do all those stress? Is it in Nigeria? If they couldn't hold them accountable at the point of entrance, is it the time they have already gone to their homes? They can even decide to say that none of their family members have spoken to them. They can decide to say when they came in, they stayed separate in their BQ, and there's no CCTV camera to prove on the street. In other Sena clams or other advanced countries, you get to see security cameras, street cameras everywhere, so that even if he's telling a lie, at some point the security guys will just look at this camera and say, look, you were here at 11:45.
You went to this place.
Yes, you went to this place at 11:44. You spoke to this person and all that. So he can't possibly lie. You understand? Because there'll be cameras to prove that he actually is lying. But in Nigeria, there's no such. We don't even have NEPA lights. So how do we do this CCTV camera? So it's going to be his word, will be his bond. If he says, I didn't talk to anybody,
exactly.
It has to be even if he was actually, maybe he even went to see his girlfriend or his wife, nobody can actually vouch for it, because he could tell you he didn't go to see anybody, and that would be the truth.
Okay. Now, after they communicated with the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Health, one Abdullahi Mashi, and he confirmed the development that it was true, but noted that the crew members who left the quarantine center had returned to the facility, saying that they are back now. Now, asked further about their health risk of the crew leaving the quarantine, they had to ask them, what about the health risk of them leaving the quarantine center? And according to them, the question was that if they have left, what's the possibility that they did not meet with other people, And then the Permanent Secretary said that that is left into the hands of the Lagos State Surveillance Team to work on that they will do the needful. The important thing is that they are back. But the question is that the only important thing, that they are back? Because for me, I believe that we know that this thing is very contagious. And the first thing they should have done is to take these guys to NCDC and get them tested. And even when you don't even test them, since the whole thing, we already know that these things can be in someone and it's just very passive. You wouldn't even hear anything. I think the ideal thing now to do is to ensure that these people, their contacts, when they left the quarantine center, should be contacted immediately, and we see how they can bring them into the quarantine center. All right, that's where we are going to leave it. Go to our comment section, let us interact. What do you think? What are the health risks of these 3 persons who left the quarantine or the isolation center? What's the health risk? Do you think that they may have gotten contact with other people and that may pose a huge risk and will cause further